Greetings from the Tulsa World OU Sports Extra team on Owen Field. I am Nate Feken, joined by Eric Bailey and Mason Young after a dominant Sooner win to get them to 10 wins on the season. One of the big storylines from this game, Eric, Dillon Gabriel, possibly his last game here at OU. What did you see from him today? I mean, 59 points, that's always a good sign, right?
Well, when you come out and throw a 49-yard pass on the first play of the game, or 50 yards, it was 50. But when you throw the 50-yard pass to start the game, you know things are going to go well. He completed 3 passes over 50 yards, had a 40-yard run on an option keeper on 4th and 1. You know, if this was his last game, and this was a game we didn't know he was going to play because of what happened last week. He was in concussion protocol, wasn't released until yesterday, which is Thursday. Didn't know he was going to play. He ends up throwing for 400 yards, big plays all day long. We asked him at the end, are you coming back next year? He does have 1 year. He said it's all in God's plan, would not give us an answer. So, but he also said, I don't want to make this a big deal. Well, is he or is he not? It's just he really doesn't know right now.
Yeah, nothing like using some Drake lyrics to determine your future for you young people out there. Mason, Billy Bowman, another pick six, another interception. He's up there for tops in the country. He's breaking OU program records. How about his day in that play in particular?
Yeah, pretty incredible. 45-yard pick six in the fourth quarter to ice it. Second pick six in as many weeks after that 100-yarder against BYU. And as you mentioned, third this season in OU program record, which is pretty incredible. You think about Billy Bowman, he's just really one of the most consistent players on this defense. When OU needs him, he comes through. And it's another guy, kind of in the vein of Dillon Gabriel, who was asked about his future here after today's game and didn't want to lay his cards on the table per se about whether or not he might be coming back next year or he's looking at a potential opportunity in the NFL.
Sure. Now, one guy that was his final game on this field, legendary name, Drake Stoops, got to spend some time with his parents before the game, got all the Stoops chants out, got his touchdown in towards the end. Eric, what'd you see from Drake today?
You know, he was the last player recognized on senior day. It's fitting because the Stoops' name carries so much weight here. And then he turns out and has a 12-catch, 125-yard performance. It was just fitting that he did have a touchdown catch in his last game here on this field. He has 10 this season, which leads the Big 12. I tell you, this is a guy who was hurt in game 1, and we were wondering if he was going to be able to play this season. He's having just a career year and really topped it off with a touchdown. It was really neat seeing him go out on his terms like this.
Yeah, what a performance for him. What an ovation for him, diving to get into that last touchdown. A special moment here for Sooner fans. Mason, looking ahead a little bit, what have you seen from the defense? It's kind of been kind of crazy back and forth for them. Another kind of wild day at the ballpark.
Yeah, they're really just struggling to defend the run right now. That makes it 2 straight weeks. You know, you think about against BYU, they were going up against an offense that was the worst in the Big 12 in rushing yards per game, averaging like 90 yards per game coming into that matchup, and just absolutely got gashed. I mean, today, Amani Bailey for TCU, their really good running back, had 150 yards and a touchdown. He had a 32-yard touchdown run. He also ripped off a long run of 49 yards. Really good game for him, and not so good for the OU defense. Right now, it sounds like it's all about the linebackers just not being in their run fits right. And, you know, Brent Venables being a defensive coach, he's obviously frustrated by that. And, you know, that's something that hopefully, you know, they can put wraps on before the bowl game and fit the run really well and have a good defensive showing in that game and then put a bow on the season that way. That is, if the Big 12 tiebreaker situation does not shake out in their favor tomorrow.
Mason, you mentioned a second ago that Big 12 tiebreaker. Does anybody know how that works yet, by the way? What do you think about OU's future going forward and just the potential of being in that game? I know the Sooners commented on a bunch after the game.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good. You either got to have Oklahoma State loss or you got to have Texas and Kansas State both bowing out. So, you know, some guys said that they'll be watching the TVs. Other guys said, Jaden Gibson really stood out what he said about just God's got us, and you know, he's not going to be watching it at all. He feels like, you know, if it's supposed to happen, it's supposed to happen. It's just going to fall into place for them. A lot of guys too, you know, if the tiebreaker doesn't shake out their way, they have to feel pretty happy about 10 wins. There's a lot they've had to overcome. I mean, just the fact that Dillon Gabriel was able to play today and that they made it out of BYU last week with Jackson Arnold in the second half unscathed, you got to feel good about that. And, you know, yes, you were inches away from, you know, potentially being 12-0. I mean, really just a few plays and a few points away. But you got to feel pretty good going to 10-2 after being 6-7 last year. And I think a lot of guys really felt that way. You could tell.
Sure, that is quite the improvement. And speaking of watching things, we hope you will continue to watch all of the Tulsa World OU Sports Extra Team's coverage and read from Eric and Mason. That'll wrap things up here from here on Owen Field. I am Nate Feken, joined by Eric Bailey and Mason Young. Keep watching.